positive and willing to just jump right into something. So it's been great.
Yes, there's still a lot more good information to come your way. Up next, we have a topic that may make your life easier. User-generated content. User-generated content sounds ideal to me. Lorraine Ball has an MBA from the University of Texas and a BA from Queens College City, University of New York. She's a member of the faculty at the University of Indianapolis, teaching courses in digital marketing, content strategy, and social CRM. After spending too many years in corporate America, Lorraine said goodbye to the bureaucracy, glass ceilings, and bad coffee. And today, you can find her at her own firm, Roundpeg, a digital agency in Carmel, Indiana, building smart marketing strategies for businesses who want to use internet marketing tools to grow. It's all yours, Lorraine.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, no, this is not going to work. User-generated content requires that I, as a presenter, get user-generated content from you. So, hi, everybody. Okay, that's much better. Cool. All right. Wow, this doesn't come with instructions. This is going to be entertaining. Okay, today's presentation, user-generated content. There is a concept in business that says if you want to accelerate your growth, if you want to really leap to the next level, you need to do it with OPM, other people's money. Whether, okay, it's true, whether that is an investment or a loan, that influx of capital into your business is what you need to take your business from where you are to where you want to be. When it comes to marketing, the same thing works. What you need is OPC, other people's content. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not talking about scraping information from the internet and plagiarizing. That's really bad form and people get annoyed. What I am talking about is finding a way to engage your community so that they willingly participate and willingly give you the content that you need to accelerate your growth, to accelerate the expansion of your messages. In today's conversation, I'm going to share some different strategies on generating that content. The first way to do that is through reviews. This is the thing that I think most of us are most familiar with. Well, let me ask it this way. How many of you would head out on a trip today without looking at Hotels.com or TripAdvisor? Say? How many of you buy a piece of technology without at least looking at the reviews on CNET to find out whether this camera or that camera, this computer or that one is better? You need a home repair, you're going to go to Angie's List. You need pretty much any restaurant to figure out where to go to dinner, you're dialing into Yelp. We are in a place in our lives right now where we believe the advice of complete strangers ahead of companies and professionals. Oops. I really did want to go back one. No, keeps going forward. There we go. The statistics on this are amazing. We trust user-generated content. 68% of people surveyed said that they're going to research online before they travel, and 85% say that they're more likely to open their wallets when there are online recommendations that support this. There was another study, just one more data point, that says that 58% of people have made up their mind about a purchase before they ever talk to a service provider. Think about that. 58% of your customers already know whether they're going to buy from you or not. This is how they're deciding. They're reading reviews. They're reading comments. And you know, on the one hand, this is all about the internet and it's all about digital media. And on the other hand, this is just about consumer behavior. 50 years ago, my mother sat on the front porch, and the neighbor came over and said, "What'd you do today?" And she said, "You know, I went to a new store." "Really? How was it?" And based on my mother's answer, "I loved it," or "I'm never going back," my neighbor made a decision as to whether they would even try that store. This is not any different. The difference is just that now it happens faster and it happens more often. And so as a business owner, as a marketer, how do you take advantage of this? Well, step number one, you need to ask for the reviews. I made an allusion to this a minute ago. I talked about the fact that we believe each other. More than a professional restaurant critic, what we want to know is, what do other people like me say? This particular display or array of food is a picture that I took and posted on TripAdvisor. Why? Because my husband and I, we do a lot of traveling. Our children are grown. We're not paying college bills anymore, so we can now have money to spend on ourselves. Your parents will be there someday too. So here we are. We're traveling. We're in Israel. We are trying to figure out where we're going to go to eat. There's a restaurant guide in our hotel room, which we toss on the floor, and we open up TripAdvisor because that's our go-to app. Husband finds this great restaurant. He says, "This is going to be amazing. Look at these reviews." All right, let's give it a try. Where is it? Well, we have to take a bus. Okay. But he says, "Don't worry. The reviews say the restaurant is great." So we get on a bus and we ride 30 minutes outside of Tel Aviv to some small suburb. Well, suburb was kind of an overstatement. Little town that I would never normally get out of my car in after dark, and here we were. Really? This is what? No! He says, they say it's great. We just have to get off the bus, go down that alley, and make a turn. Down the alley? Do they tell you how much life insurance I have to have before I get off this? No, it's great. Trust me. Down the alley, make the turn, and there is this amazing restaurant. In the middle of absolutely nowhere is this great restaurant, big veranda, facing the Mediterranean Sea. We walk in, we sit down. Before I can order anything, this is what they put on the table. We haven't even ordered yet. This is just the appetizers that come with anybody who sits down to eat there. It was by far and away the most amazing meal we have had on any of our travels, and we never would have found it if we were reading the guidebooks. We never would have found it if we were asking the hotel concierge where we should go. We found it because we took the advice of other people like us. Now, there is a pay-it-forward mentality. If you want good reviews to be there when you need them, you have to put those reviews out there. And so as a business owner, cultivating those reviews serves you, but it serves your community as well, which is why this particular photo hit my TripAdvisor feed. Interestingly, later on that same trip, we stayed at a brand new hotel, and they didn't have any reviews, and we had ended up there quite by accident, but it was wonderful. But they wanted to make sure that they had reviews. So as we were checking in, they were like, "Hi, we're a new hotel. Have some free chocolate, and by the way, be sure to write a review." The next morning, as we were leaving, they were like, "Hey, before you go out for your day, here's some coffee and a pastry, and have you written a review yet?" We came back at the end of the day, and they said, "Oh, it looks like you had a nice day, but you're a little tired. Here, have some free wine and cheese, and by the way, have you written the review?" You don't have to be quite that in your face, but soliciting and having a process for soliciting reviews is absolutely critical. There we go. Truth is, though, that 72% of marketers surveyed don't recognize or leverage the value of customer referrals. To me, this is like a special kind of crazy, but it actually works to our advantage. Why? Because if we're in the 28% that do, we have a huge competitive advantage. And so if you're not soliciting reviews for your business, and you're not doing it actively and asking for Facebook reviews, for Google reviews, for reviews on any of the platforms that are relevant for your business, and you're still sitting in the 72%, your competitors are in the 28%. Figure out which side of that you want to be on. Reviews drive business. On average, I've seen research that says a 1-star increase in Yelp reviews can drive an additional 5 to 9% in revenue. This is traffic to a website for a company we were working with, and what you see is they were a heating and air conditioning company. The most referral traffic was coming from Bryant.com because they were a Bryant dealer, Yelp, and then Facebook. And way down there is Angie's List. Not because Angie's List is not a good place to have referrals. Angie's List doesn't do referrals. So driving traffic to their site. And in that business, you don't just browse heating and air conditioning companies for fun. I mean, well, maybe you do. The average person does not. So if people were coming to their site, they were coming to buy. Yelp was their second biggest traffic source. And you do it by asking for reviews. On your company websites, having a place where you share testimonials, where you have links to the review sites that you want people to be participating on, and sending letters. It's absolutely the easiest thing in the world. You have just performed a service for someone. Send them a note. The really amazing thing, and this is research that goes way back, is that a lot of people, if they're 85 or 80% okay with what you did, won't say anything. But if you send them a note, they may actually tell you, you could do this better or you could do that. And on the one hand, that might be like, I don't want to be bothered, but on the other hand, if you do it, odds are they're going to write you a significantly better review. We were just sending emails every time we finished a website. And most of our customers, although they like us, ignored the emails. I started picking up the phone. I'm fortunate. I'm in a business where we're not launching 100 websites a month. So it's another opportunity to talk to a customer, to remind them how much fun they had working with us. And as soon as I started doing that, we started getting more reviews. All right, let's move off of reviews because that's really only a small sliver of user-generated content. The really interesting part is this idea of the wisdom of the crowd. If I asked you how many jelly beans were in this jar, some of you would guess and be fairly accurate. Some of you would be way too many. Some of you would be not enough. But science has proven over and over again, the more people we ask, the more likely the average will approach exactly how many beans are really in that jar. The wisdom of the crowd, being able to get a lot of ideas and a lot of information from a lot of people, will get and drive a more accurate answer. It will uncover things that you would never have thought about, and it can be used in any number of different ways. As source material for blog posts and videos. Jimmy Fallon understands tapping into the wisdom of the crowd better than almost anyone I have seen. If you follow him on Twitter, he will put up a hashtag periodically that says #game, and he'll explain what he's looking for. In this particular instance, he asked people about their worst first date. He asked them to share with him, and he gave an example of a bad date that he had. And he gets hundreds and hundreds of responses, and you can see them in the timeline. And I can't do this. Is there somebody who's got this on the computer in front of them, who could roll the mouse over and click on the image of Jimmy in the middle of that. Yep.
No. I'm only going to want you to run it out. You have to wait till the end. But while that's running,
First one's from Jessie B, she says, my first one's from Jessie B, 3 server leaned me and said, she says, the third one, my date took me to a nice restaurant, a server leaned me and said, ooh, the third one was sweet. Could I share some of my favorite worst first dates tweets from you guys? First one's from Jessie B, 365. She says, my date took me to a nice restaurant. Our server leaned into me and said, "We're the third one this week." Ooh, bag of hot one, yeah. This one is from @BurnsDannyJoe3. She says, told the guy I was tired to make him leave. Instead, he leaned over, kissed me, and said, "That will wake you up." Oh, fear of my life. Yeah, you know, does it wake you up? Yeah, I just pray. Yeah. This one's from @YourAnn. She says, before picking me up, he asked if I liked Bush Light and how many I thought I could fit in my purse.
go ahead and pause it.
That's his class, right?
Getting back on my presentation. Okay, so you get the idea. When I watch this, and Jimmy Fallon does this so much over and over again, they actually now on the NBC website have a hashtag gallery. Now think about this. Maybe really bad. Who needs writers when you have fans? He's got his community creating content for him. What does he do? He does a couple of things. He tells you what he's looking for, and then when he shares it, he doesn't just share it. He acknowledges the person who gave it to him. That is one of the most critical rules of a viable user-generated content strategy. Acknowledging the person who provided the content. Why? Because the bottom line is that social media is all about ego. It is. We share content because we want to be noticed. When you put something up on Twitter or on Instagram and nobody hearts it, let's face it, you feel it. And when you open up your account and you see 9, 10, 11 hearts, you feel pretty good. A couple of retweets and your day is made. And so if you want people to share content, you actually have to acknowledge them. Make it easy and acknowledge them. One of the things that you can also do with user-generated content is create authenticity that you can't fake. When the movie The Fault in Our Stars was coming out, you had a bunch of guys in Hollywood who were putting together the promo. The problem was this was a story about the angst of a teenage girl. And so for the trailer, what they wanted were a series of images and notes that captured the emotion of a teenage girl. Let's face it, even some of us who were teenage girls can't always channel back to being 15. I was pretty sure, and these guys were too, that as men they had no clue. And so they actually reached out to fans of the book and asked them to provide snippets of images and sketches and notes. And the trailer, the full-length trailer for this movie was so powerful because it just panned over essentially a bulletin board filled with notes and thoughts of real teenage girls. You can't fake that. And so that particular trailer was so powerful and so engaging for that audience. Tapping into your user community will give you ideas that you could never have on your own.
Mountain Dew does this, Doritos does this every year for the Super Bowl. They invite people to create commercials, and the ideas they like best, they film. Lay's potato chips. Every year they run a contest and ask people to suggest new flavors. And then they have people vote on the different ideas. In a million years, I'm pretty sure the guys at Lay's never thought about making a potato chip that tasted like Southern biscuits and gravy. It sounds a little strange, but it was the #1 idea. They made it, and it was a best-selling product for them. Bottom line, ideas you can't have on your own. No matter how big your team is, no matter how large your staff, they're ideas you're not going to have. And so throwing this out onto the internet, announcing a Facebook contest or a Twitter contest, and encouraging people to share content will put you light years ahead of your competitor in terms of product innovation. And as far as contests go, if you want your internet contest to work, to be effective, it has to be simple, it has to be easy, it has to be fun. We ran this for a number of years. We ran it every year for several years with a heating and air conditioning company. We asked people to take a photo of their pet to win the coolest pup contest. They could share the image on this particular one we did on Facebook, but you can also do them on Instagram the same way. But in addition to sharing the pictures, the voting element is key. We ran a contest like this for an optometrist. You had to take a picture of your kid wearing glasses. And he was disappointed. We got 50 photos. He said, I only got 50 people to enter. I said, wait. Now we're going to open it up to voting. Well, every mom who wanted her kid to win a ride on a Zamboni machine at an Indianapolis ice game, how many of her friends do you think she got to vote? How many of her family members? To vote at that particular contest, we set it up, you had to give us your email address and your zip code. Why? We knew we were going to get a lot of out-of-state grandmas, and we were happy to have them, but we pushed them aside. And even after we pushed all the out-of-state cousins and grandmas and friends out of the way, we still had over 3,000 email addresses of people who lived in the Indianapolis market who had never heard of this eye doctor until they got the first email from him thanking them for participating. And now he had the opportunity to stay engaged with them. So in this case, contests not only engaged his audience, but they helped him grow his permission-based email list. But you got to make it simple. You got to make it easy. People are doing it from their phones. Do not ask them to write long, detailed summaries with their pictures. Make it relevant. This was really nice. This was a really nice campaign that Dove did a few years ago. Basically, you tagged someone and said, I think my mother is beautiful because, and then you filled in, or I think my friend Mary, or my daughter, or my sister, or some woman, and you actually did it on Facebook, and you put that person's name in. I think she's beautiful because. What happened? This showed up in her timeline. She saw whatever it was you said about her. Now, if my daughter or my best friend had just done this, that little real beauty should be shared. How many of my friends do you think I'm going to tag? How far and wide do you think this is going to go with the Dove logo traveling with me? If this was important 5 years ago, it is absolutely critical today as Facebook has once again changed their algorithms, raising the wall between customers and businesses higher than it's ever been before. Promotions like this, user-generated content, is the only way you as a business are going to get over that wall and into the consumer timeline on Facebook. Unless, of course, you want to buy ads. Contests let other people tell your story. This was an awesome promotion. It was a fun iPhone case that essentially was a giant Lego pattern on the back. And they asked people to build things with the case. And so what you see is the little robot, the airplane, the little guy jumping off it. They came up with all sorts of different variations on their product. Again, their product engineers could have worked on this forever and never come up with all of these individual uses. It also gave them great content, not only in social media, but it also gave them content that they could use in their ads down the road. And finally, events give you a tremendous opportunity for user-generated content. Every event should have a hashtag. You should not leave it to chance. Don't just hope people will share information. Tell them what you wanted them to do. Tell them how you want them to do it. Give them props. Well, the first one was at Qantas Airlines. When you were waiting online or checking in, they had these signs that said, "I love Qantas Air." And you could pick it up and you could pose with them. The lower one was two pop-up guys from Modern Family, and you could pose in front of them. So if you're having an event, whether it's a pop-up statue, whether it's things on the table, I've also seen a lot of companies that just do these giant walls of logos with all their sponsors, and then they have a photographer there saying, "Hey, can we take a picture of you?" And of course you say yes. They email you the photo, you share it, and guess what? All the sponsors' logos are in the background behind their head. Tell people what you want them to do. That one says, okay, that looks, oh, that's a little wonky because of the way I sent it. If you happen to hop on Twitter right now and search the hashtag what Lorraine Ball says, pound Lorraine Ball says, you'll actually find slides from today's presentation. Please feel free to share them, retweet, comment, add your own thoughts. Let people know what you want them to do. Understand that even if you give them instructions, they may not necessarily follow them the way you intended. This particular photo was taken at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They had invited a number of us who were pretty active on Twitter and social media to come out, tour the track, watch the race. And they had this sign, and it was standing up, and it said, "You should probably take a selfie here." And it was right at the entrance to Gasoline Alley, and you were supposed to stand there, and as the drivers went by, take a selfie with maybe the drivers in the background. But the sign fell down, and it was laying on the ground, and my friend Stephanie and I could not resist. So we laid down on the ground, and we took the selfie, and a friend of ours took a photo of us taking the selfie. It was funny, and it went very viral, but it was clearly not what the Speedway had in mind. That's going to happen. You have to be prepared. You have to know that sometimes how you think something is going to go may or may not be the way it goes. If you're going to do an event, consider leveraging influencers. Figure out who are the people other people are going to watch. So in this particular instance, you had a number of people who had really large communities here in Indianapolis. They invited a number of us to go out there and to be tweeting. They were feeding us a steady stream of information. Bios about the drivers, ridiculous racing stats, all sorts of things that would be cool if we then shared with our community. There's a group of mommy bloggers in Indianapolis, and they get invited every time the Indianapolis Children's Museum has a new exhibit. Why? Because they know that if they bring these moms, They're going to write about it, they're going to talk about it, they're going to take pictures, and other moms who follow them are going to show up for the exhibit. The Indianapolis Broadway series has what's called a community of Twitics. That is Twitter critics. You get free tickets to go to the show on opening night. You write a review, you tweet, you let people know you're there. And in the hopes that their friends and families and other people who know them and follow them and know that they're interested in the arts and know that they have good taste will be like, wow, Michelle liked that show. Maybe I'll see if I can get tickets for the weekend. So take advantage. Figure out who are the influencers in your community. Who are the people that are the thought leaders? Connect with them. Invite them to participate. Deliberately reach out. At the end of the day, I'm not even going to go back to that slide, but at the end of the day, if you want to have an effective user-generated content strategy, a couple of key things. Keep it simple. Make it easy for people to share content with you. Have a plan, have specific asks in mind. Let people know what you want. I'd like you to write a review. I'd like you to put it on the Google My Business page. Here's a link to the Google My Business page. Please click here. Please post your review. We'd like you to join our contest. Here are the rules. It's pretty simple. You upload a photo and you share it. Let people know what you want. Make it easy for them to participate. And always, always, always say thank you. Now, if you have hundreds of people responding, you may not be able to get to every single one. But if it is obvious from the timeline that you are acknowledging and reading and commenting, I will keep playing. It's kind of like B.F. Skinner's rat in the maze. Those of you who take an intro to psychology know what I'm talking about. If you reward a rat every time, the minute you stop, they stop. But if you reward a rat sometimes and not other times, he will keep banging away at that button in hopes of getting the food pellet. If I see that you do acknowledge a lot of people, I will keep playing, hoping that this time I'm one of the people you acknowledge. Acknowledge as many people as you can. Say thank you. And return the favor. Share the content of others. When you see other businesses, other organizations trying to get a little bit of momentum under their user-generated content program, play along. Because the internet is reciprocal. And what you put out there does come back. Feel free to quote any of the brilliant things that I have said using the hashtag #LorraineBallSaid. And let's open it up for a question or two.